All right, you hooligans, we're back.
What
I almost made that joke, but I thought it was going to be too cliche. I still like the Joe DiMaggio Babe Ruth picture, though, for sure.
is that a leather chair?
Not a leather chair. No, it's a chair with a blanket over it because the pattern is a little much. So I can show you the pattern.
Yeah,
You wanna see the
no.
pattern? Okay.
I don't think we have to.
Yeah, we'll just let you use your imagination. Currently under a tornado watch here in Iowa.
Interesting.
Is that right? Watch.
Yeah, watch. Yeah.
So you're just.
Just
Yeah.
watch.
No, sorry. At first I was like thinking warning, but it's watch.
We were under a warning last night. Yeah, it's been a couple of days of weather. This week is kind of like one of those severe weather weeks. There were 14 tornadoes in Iowa last night.
Okay, that's actually interesting.
We have some storms coming through Ohio tonight, right now.
Well, yeah, I got a email from our electric service provider that said that they're forecasting storms across my territory with wind gusts up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. But I looked at all the weather, and there's nothing about it that says that that's true. Like there's not even there's a little thunderstorm coming through, but not.
Let's talk about weather though. I don't even. How is it ever right? Because I think that I'm so confused. I'll look at it the night before, and then the day surprises me. I think it's the way the Lord keeps us on our toes. That's what I think. Is the weather? You can't know. You can't know.
I'm just gonna
but maybe you can, but you probably can know. There's some meteorologist out there that's going to be commenting listen, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to be like, you're right. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Dude, we could do an episode on how the CIA controls the weather.
Oh, that would get a unique audience. That would widen our scope, I think.
That's why I keep saying chemtrails.
That's what you're talking about. I'm like, every time I see them, I'm like, what are those things that crazy people like Noah and Joey Horn talked about with the clouds and how they're like.
Shout out Joey Horn.
Yeah. I am finding more and more people that genuinely, I think that number of people who are genuinely believing that is going up.
Show.
Speaking of that.
So we're going to do a special episode on that eventually. But welcome back to Modern Man. I'm pretty excited for tonight's episode, actually. I think it's a topic that I'm passionate about. So I was actually reflecting, I think it was maybe a week ago. I have a reminder on my phone every night. You guys know this, but those listening, well, actually, some of them probably know this, but not all of them. I have a reminder on my phone every night at 10 o'clock, and it just says the following. It says, remember the fallen giants. And it was about a week ago that I was looking at that reminder. And you know how you have automatic things in your life day to day that you kind of forget to engage? Because I've had that reminder forever, and there's seasons where it's meant a lot to me. And I would say recently it's been just on there at 10 p.m. And I read it, and then I hit whatever, completed. And a week ago, I read it, and I was thinking to myself, man, how many of the people that I have looked up to in my life have actually maintained the integrity and virtue that the place of honor I give them demands for. And as I was thinking about it more and more, I was thinking that percentage is way less than I would desire it to be. And I started kind of on this, man, a lot of men in particular that achieve great heights and that I look up to in a plethora of ways. They get to the end of their life or the end of a season of their life, or maybe in the middle of an amazing season of their life. And some crack in the foundation is revealed and things just start coming down. And so I thought it could be cool to just kick the can around on just the fallen giants. Why falls happen? How falls happen? How can we avoid them? How does it materialize in our life? What are the results of it? I don't know. What do you guys think about something like that? I'd love initial thoughts. I have a few things to wrestle out with you guys, but that's the starting point.
Yeah, I remember when I actually remember having this conversation. This is before I moved to Minnesota, so this is over, 5 years ago. We were driving to Seven Oaks. Is that the ski hill in Pennsylvania? Do you remember
Seven Springs. Yeah, I was trying to remember it.
Yeah, the three of us and then our friend Ben. we were driving out there, and this was shortly after, is either Ravi Zacharias or it was Carl Lentz. I can't remember who it was. Do you remember, Brad? We're driving in the car.
I do. I don't remember who it was, but I do remember the news hitting.
I think it was Lentz.
It was Ravi.
It was? Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, we were driving, right? And we were talking about this concept. And I remember this being just like a thing that wasn't just with him in particular, right? I already even said two names, but there's plenty of people that I can think of, both in Catholic and non-Catholic circles. Primarily, this is, at least the way that we've seen this demonstrated, is like through some sort of like sexual, failing, right? There's some sort of like infidelity or in some sort of something that I, at least in a lot of ways that I've seen this happen in people that I've looked up to in the Christian faith or in the Catholic circles. There's some sort of like character lapse that falls within, at least within that. I'm sure there's other examples, but I think it just kind of is really unfortunate because it began to sow a seed in my mind as a young, 20-something-year-old guy who was seeing these people that are 15, 20, 30 years older than me and be like, man, is this the way, is this just what happens? Like, is anyone safeguarded from this? Is anyone safe from this? Like, is this just like the inevitable downfall of every man, right? Because you begin to think about that. And even biblically, you're like, okay, well, David was holy before the Lord. He was singing psalms of praise to God. He was a man after God's own heart. And then what happens? He's on the parapet and he's looking down and he sees Bathsheba and his character's lacking and he goes and does something he shouldn't do. And then he's got an entire Psalm 51, to basically his remorse. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things that maybe men that are listening to this don't think this way, but I think that's been one of the things that it's really rubbed in me is just kind of this like, Lord, safeguard me, because I'm like, is anyone ever really safe from this? You know what I mean? It's like that tension of there go I, but by the grace of God. But then it's like, does anyone actually ever sustain in the grace of God to not, you know what I mean? Like long term, like it's just, I think it's one of those things that I've wrestled with over time. Not saying that it's like inevitable that people are going to fall into some sort of like scandal, but it's been a seed of doubt in my mind of like, man,
it's a wrestle with hope.
It's hard to embrace the authenticity of people sometimes. Mm-hmm. You're just like, are you real? Are you the real deal? Or are you just like another one of these fake people that are like exalting their own name or get a big head or whatever? I don't know. That's kind of what it brings up in me initially. Noah, what do you think?
Yeah, I have been thinking about this a lot, and I think there's a couple conversations I want to get into. I think one of them is the same question you're wrestling with, Sam. It's one of those things where it's like, does anyone make it out alive, right? Does anyone make it out where they die and after they're dead, nothing comes out about them and they actually lived a virtuous life? And I think, to be honest with you, I think that number is actually going to grow where people are going to make it out alive more and more. Because I think this generation cares less about some of the things that caused that generation to fall. And I think like, I was just listening to an awesome podcast of a guy, Brian Barcelona. He runs Gen Z for Jesus and one other ministry. I can't remember the name of it. He's a Protestant guy. And he talks about, he's like, at our events, we don't even offer, he's like, there's something about the hunger for authenticity in Gen Z. He's like, we don't offer per diems for our speakers. We don't have a VIP spot for them to sit. If they come, it's because they want to minister and it's because they want to be ministered to. And I think that, like, I've just felt gross sometimes being around some of the conferences I go to that are at different Protestant churches. It's not even just Protestant. It doesn't matter. It's Christianity. Where it's like, there is this like very weird VIP culture. This like, and it almost feels like, and Brad, I've heard you say this before, it's like the kid that didn't was never cool in school, and they're kind of letting it play out in their life as they're this pastor that a certain sect of the world like thinks is cool, and it's almost this like false fame that really does get to them, and it has the same effect as it would with somebody who doesn't have any foundation of the faith. And so I just think I'm saying a lot of different things here, but what I think is that I think we're going to see less of it in this generation. But I think the big things that are really causing it are the same reasons that we see celebrities go onto drug binges or have their own promiscuity or whatever. Fame, does something to the human brain that in a VIP culture does something to the human brain that is not good. And I think the biggest thing it does is it detaches them from reality. And
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of what I've thought about. And I've been, and this is a really strong take that I'm going to say, but I have heard this take of like, yeah, the devil really really attacked that person, like spiritually attacked them, and like they were doing really good work and that's why they fell. And I even like there's somebody in there's somebody that like there's we've known some people that have fallen, right? And I've heard even some of the people that like we've known that have fallen I've heard people say that about them. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's this thing that was like, wow, they were doing such a good thing, the devil really attacked them. I think that's a way for us to justify it, but I actually don't know if that's real. I think it's more so like this person just never knew how to deal with that amount of dopamine or that amount of praise or that amount of detachment from reality. Therefore, they fell into habits of coping that they had as a kid, maybe, or wherever in their life. But I really like, I really don't like that phrase of like, yeah, the devil attacked them, because what it almost does for what I hear is, man, they were doing such great work that the devil got them and they couldn't have done anything about it. They were just screwed from the beginning. And that means if I sin, I'm just screwed. There's no way out of it, because if I'm doing something good, the devil's going to get me. And it's like, that's the work. So I'm just streams of consciousness right now, throwing out a lot
No,
of.
that's responsibility for your own action. That's reality instead of fantasy. I love it. What were you going to say, Sam?
No, it is. But it's also, I probably disagree a little bit with you. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's again, it's the slider scales, right? It's like you bring it out. It's like it can't, because I think, no, if you follow that thread too much, then it just becomes your own human effort, right? And I think you would agree with me that that's just not possible, right? I mean, you're talking about sin here. We're talking about like a primordial enemy of the human soul pursuing your damnation. Like that, no amount of you white knuckling it is going to get you out of that. So there is a reality that the enemy is after your soul. And I would say that people in ministry, people that are actually caring for their life, stewarding the call in their life, that there is like a presentation of a larger target on someone's back. Like I wouldn't care too much about the fact that person who can't run a 100. That doesn't, where am I going with this?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it, I'm like, where could we be going? It's hard to know what to do with my face. It's hard to know what to do with my face, dude, when you go into this.
We get it, Sam. We have weight to lose.
Okay, wow. We can't cut stuff from this because it's kind of live, but okay. I'm not too concerned with someone who can't do much with their life, but I am concerned when someone's I don't know. If there's a trained assassin coming after me, I'm worried. If there's someone who's got like a Nerf gun, I'm trying to make this work. I'm just trying to. You understand what I'm saying here? There is a reality that the enemy is actually pursuing people that can do damage for his kingdom. So that's where I think there has to be a place for the contrary of what you're saying, Noah, which I think in my life, and I think all three of us have probably experienced this before in our life, where you're doing like you're just in a life of like trying to change people's lives. You're trying to live a life of holiness. You're trying to live a life of virtue. Attack comes, right? And that's, I would say in some senses, comes probably more to people like that, but it's not an excuse or a license for sin. I think
that's the balance. Yeah, it's still responsibility that has to win the day. That those what we have to do is build within ourselves, by the grace of God, the dependency on Him and the virtue to withstand those attacks. Right. I want to pull. Let's pull some themes so we can run after a couple things. I think we can probably hit everything we're talking about here, but the first is, because Sam, you were mentioning this, like, is there any hope? Like, is there a reality where we can actually live going after something big without falling? Right. And Noah, you were saying kind of that weird culture that can encircle around people that become famous in niche places, which exactly like I've said before, I think it's them acting out a fantasy a lot of times and making it their reality. And I think that has faults to it. But let's talk about reality, because God always works with reality. He doesn't work with fantasy. And I think that the reality is we were made for impact as men. So that's the reality. Like we were made to go after something big, and we were made to send ripples out from our life. Like we were made for that. I think that one of the shortcomings of that and the things that we have to fight against with concupiscence and all the rest is with the efforts we put in to make an impact. Sometimes impact happens, and impact breeds success, and success breeds things that sometimes we worship more than the gift of our lives itself. And what ends up happening is we start loving the power or prestige or popularity or prosperity that comes from the impact we were trying to make. And we start aiming at those things, the pleasure, right? Like all those things, we start aiming at those instead of maintaining the aim being the impact of a life laid down. And I think that I want to talk a little bit about that. Like we were made for impact. That's reality. And I think that can go awry, but it doesn't excuse us from aiming at greatness, right? Like this wrestles with that whole hope question, Sam. But I think we were made for impact. We got to know that first before we start talking about all the rest. Because sometimes I think we can claim to be virtuous because we sit on the sidelines and we go, hey, that guy that was getting after it and really trying something, he fell. And so, see, that's what happens when you try really hard. It's like, no, permission to sit on the sideline and point a finger at the guy that's actually in the arena. We're made to be in the arena. So I think attacking that first before we get to how to mitigate against the fall probably be a decent place to start. The reality is you were made to leave a mark. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it comes down to, in a lot of ways, to your foundation, right? It's like you think about biblically. It's like, okay, the storms came, the winds buffeted the house, and it fell away because it didn't have a firm foundation, right? There's this emphasis in the parable of the firm foundation that the Lord gives, where it's really like, he emphasizes the importance of a foundation, a sure, firm foundation. Even 15 minutes before we hopped on tonight, I was upstairs talking to my father-in-law, and he was like, have you ever seen this show before? And I was like, no, I've never seen this show. And it's maybe some of you guys have seen this. It's called Beast Games. Mr.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Okay,
yeah.
So he was like, he's probably like 10 episodes into the actual thing. And he's like, you got to see this right from the beginning. So he pulls it up and watches the first 10 minutes of the intro of the Beast Games. And it's insane. Like it is crazy. I actually will probably watch this after Survivor ends. And it basically takes 1,000 contestants and brings them into this massive room at the beginning of the game. And then it has a pile of $5 million. Like this is generational wealth. This is the highest stakes that any game show's ever had. And there's one winner in the room. Like at some point throughout this thing, they're going to win this. And then within the first 5 minutes, it just turns chaos. Like they're like, okay, in order to continue, we need we're going to give anyone who wants to tap out the opportunity to tap out, and you'll win $1 million divided up amongst the people that tap out. And so then someone taps out within the first minute. And then it's just like dominoes. People start tapping out. And by the end of it, everyone gets like $19,000 or something. That is like 52 people that tapped out. But then it gets to the next stage, and it's like, in order to continue on, a person in your like line needs to sacrifice themselves. And then it's like 15 minutes of pandemonium of these people being like, you effing press the button. Like, I need this for my family. Like it's literally like the Hunger Games without killing people, like on TV. I was literally like, turned to him, my father-in-law, I was like, is this real? And he's like, this is real. And it was just on display, like the rawness of the human heart without any sort of foundation. Like, it's literally just like, there's a massive amount of money that I probably won't actually win, right? It's pretty good odds compared to the lottery, but it's like, you're not going to win this money. And you are going to lengths of calling people names. You're like trying to convince people to tap out for you. And I can't even imagine how the next 9 episodes play out, but it was just a microcosm of this reality that like people, it's like when you're squeezed, what's on the inside comes out, right? So when we experience moments in our lives of like pressing or moments of pressure or moments of anxiety or moments of grasping for control, whatever has been developed in here is going to come out. So it's like, okay, just had found out we're expecting our 4th child. Like the Lord knew we weren't really intending that reality, but Like, it's happening. Boom, Sam feels pressed. So what's now happening in Sam's life? Sam's starting to have a bunch of sideways anger to his wife, starting to have a bunch of sideways anger to his kids. Why? Because his wife's not feeling it. Like, you're starting to, his new job, he's still living in his parents' in-laws house. Like, there's a lot of stuff pressing. And I've noticed this of like, holy crap. Like, Lord, keep me humble. Like, Lord, keep me in this place of being able to be low because I need you. Like, yesterday I put my foot in my mouth like 5 different times. It was horrible. Like, absolutely, like actually bad experiences with like my mom and my son. And I was just like, it had me feeling so low. But like, that's where we need to go, is we need to be able to feel low before it's an absolute rupture of your life. Like, thank God for those moments, you know, where you're like, okay, this isn't life altering. This isn't life ending. Blessed be God that you're not the person who's having like an affair on his wife after 20 years of marriage. You just yelled at your kid and had a hard moment. Okay, learn from it.
Getting low. Like, what if the foundation we were supposed to have is us as the foundation? Like, lay down your life and become the sort of foundation things can be built on, right? Like, the impact that you could have is actually shoring up the foundation and then see what God builds on it. I love that. No, what do you think about impact, shoring up foundation?
I just think, again, I totally agree. I think that obviously it's so clear that we are made for impact, that all of us are made to make a mark. We're not meant to consume. We're meant to be gift. And so it goes back to what we've talked about before, right? We become self-aware, aware of the ways in which we're fallen, the ways in which we're broken. We then allow God to show us that he loves us in that, and we begin to love ourselves in a healthy way. And so we experience that awareness, and then we experience that acceptance, right?
Acceptance, yeah.
And then following that, we experience possession, and that's where it's not even experience anymore. We work to be disciplined, and then when we're that disciplined individual, now we have something to give. And I think, and that's the same thing as we've talked about before: son, brother, father, patriarch, right? And so that we are meant to give. We are meant to become gift. And in giving, we will never not make a mark. If we're giving, we will always make a mark, because we are externally putting out something from us into the world that no one else ever could in the way that we would. So of course, impact is very real. And I think I want to continue this conversation around the squeeze part, because I think, Sam, you're spot on. I think that is exactly what happens, that when you get pressed, you end up experiencing all of the pain that you experience when you're pressed. And our first reaction to that is to escape the pain. That is what we want to do. When we are in pain, we want to get out of pain as soon as possible. And I think that a lot of people who fall into scandal are people who have now had the ability to escape pain consistently, and had the freedom to, because of their power, prestige, or popularity, or money. They have the ability to escape that pain, and they keep day in and day out making a decision to step away from that pain. And it causes them to be so far away from pain that they're no longer in reality anymore. And I think that's I would even go as far to say, and I think Imitation of Christ even talks about this a lot, like, reality is painful. Like, reality is pain. Pain is reality. Like the reality of this world is painful. We've lost people who we love. We scrape our knees. We get cut up. We have to lift heavy things that cause our muscles to hurt the next day. We just age, period. And everything in us wants to escape that pain. And it is the person who is able to be in touch with that pain on a consistent basis without wanting to run away from it and hide from it, are the people that are most in tune and in touch with themselves, and who don't see a need to constantly escape it. And so that is why, and of course, I am the biggest believer, of course, in the fact that without God's grace, we would all be absolutely royally screwed. And at the same time, I'm like, when we get, and I'm not saying you're completely wrong, Sam. I think when we get squeezed, the ugly stuff comes out, and it's how we deal with that really matters. But sometimes I think it's more, we got squeezed in an area that caused us pain, and we're trying to run away from it, and not always that the devil is coming in and in trying to, like, I think it's more the Lord allowing us to experience that. It is both, but it's the Lord allowing us to experience that for growth and intimacy with him. And if we make the right decisions in that process by his grace, then we will not fall into scandal. God willing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really becomes down to like humility. Like, I think it's kind of both and, right? There's this great gift of free will we have in our life. So to your point, Noah, it's just, we live in a fallen world. It is not, I think I want to make a distinction. I'm not saying that every bad thing that happens to someone's life is the devil saying, like, coming after you. That's not it. I will say, though, that there are definite moments where it's like, you can have spiritual oppression. Like, there can be moments where, like, someone can be freed from, like, addictions to pornography for years, and then they can come back in a moment, and it's like the devil's got your number, and he's like, it doesn't mean that you have to fall, but it does mean that, like, he might be trying to get at you. And to your point, the Lord may be allowing that. Now, that's an aside there for a second, but I think what I'm trying to get at, to your point, is like, we have a decision in those moments where every single one of us is going to be pressed, right? So it's not necessarily like, okay, like, there's pre-work we can do, right? These moments are opportunities for virtue. But when we get pressed, it's like, okay, what are we going to learn from this moment? Or what's this moment going to be? So, like, you can, if you guys are like me, I can, it's like the moment before the moment, right? So there's, like, I think we all know when there's about to be a press, right? Or unless it comes on super suddenly. Like, I had, there are moments where you just have a day. And it's just like, this is a day. Like, it's one of those days, I forgot my laptop charger. Mm-hmm. I'm like, frick, the gas is almost out of the car. Oh, damn, like, gas is $4.30. What? Like, it just feels like, bam. And then it's like, okay, you have these moments where you can either stop, and you can kind of do what the shirt singers were talking about in the other episodes we were listening to earlier, right? Of, you can, like, recalibrate. You can ask the Lord, help me. Like, Lord, help me to focus on your presence right now in this moment. Instead of turning inward and turning frustrated, help me right now in this moment. Because I think that could be so key. But if we don't embrace that, it's like, it's the difference between what's being pressed and, like, that oil coming out either becomes like a healing salve for our souls, or it becomes like this poison that we drink, right? Those are the options, right? If we don't embrace that, then it just becomes this poison that we keep drinking, and we keep, like, almost like that like image where it's just like that insanity, right? You think about insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. It's like a dog, like, going back to its vomit, right? And it's like, why do you keep doing that? You're hurting yourself. But then if this becomes like a healing salve for our life, it can actually go reach into those places in our history where we have pain, we have woundedness, we have whatever. And the Lord can actually heal us through those moments where he allows suffering, allows trial, allows persecution, allows temptation, even for our greater good, for our greater glory, for our greater sanctification. I mean, I think those are the moments we got to capitalize on and really see our human agency, to your point, Noah.
Yeah, Jesus never says, for this reason the Father loves me, because I've never been pressed, because I've never suffered through trial. Jesus says, for this reason the Father loves me. No one takes my life from me, but I lay it down freely. I love that line, because what Jesus is saying is, nothing out there takes my life from me. I don't give it the power to take my life from me. I lay my life down freely in service. I lay down the life that I've been gifted so that others around me can be built up. Like, that's the call. And he goes so far to say, this is the reason the Father loves me. Like, the eternal Father loves the eternal Son because no one takes his life from him, but he gives it freely. How does that make sense? Well, because they're always in an exchange of love, right? Because the Father gives perfectly to the Son perfectly receives, gives back to the Father. And that spirates the Holy Spirit, like that dynamic love that we find ourselves in the midst of. Jesus, receiving from the Father, gives fully. Like, that's what we're called to do. We are going to fall when we take instead of give. That's what's going to happen. The moment that you decide, hey, I'm worn out, I'm going to take. Hey, I'm frustrated, I'm going to take. Hey, I deserve this, I'm going to take. Hey, I'm entitled, I'm going to take. The moment you make that decision, you are welcoming something into your life that can take your life from you. And if you keep that in the dark over an extended amount of time, you are screwed. Because what ends up happening is, not only does the impact you're making feel less genuine and less authentic, but once that thing comes out of the shadows, the impact that you did make will no longer be there. The legacy that you did fight for will no longer be there. And that's why we have to come to the light. Like, that's the big thing. I'm going to lay my life down freely exactly as it is, scars and all. Because the reality is, I'm not made to have a life where I didn't suffer through trials and I didn't get pressed. I was made for a world that was going to press me and bring trials. And unlike Jesus, I failed in those trials and I've failed in that pressing at times. But what I do is I immediately bring myself to reality, if I can call back to what we were talking about before. And I say, the reality is, this is where I was, but this is where I'm going. I admit that. I own that. I take responsibility for that. And I get better as I go forward. Because again, your point, Noah, self-awareness, self-acceptance, to self-possession, to self-gift. I think the only way we can really become the men that we were made to be is if we're aimed at self-gift, not self-aggrandizement. You know, it's not about me getting big. It's about me getting low and getting low that others might live. Go ahead, Sam, push back.
No, I'm not pushing back at all. I'm and if we can just like right size our expectations, like, I don't know. I'm just like, maybe there's some Christian influencer, Catholic influencer who's listening to this. You're not a big deal. Like, you're not that big of a deal. And I'm like, I'm just going to give you a nice little dose of reality here. Cause I listen to people and you sound like you're like you're pontificating, like you're some saint. You're like, you're a normal dude with normal problems and everyone has them. It's great that you have the ability to make an impact. Good for you. It's not about your following. It's not about who, like, I would do this just to hang out with you guys. This is not about the three of us like getting thousands of followers and doing all sorts of stuff with the podcast. This is like us authentically wrestling out issues in our life that are important. I'm not pointing fingers or judgmenting anybody, but I am like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, like, it's not worth whatever like platform you have. It's not worth losing your soul over, right? It's like that whole idea of what is it to gain the whole world and to lose your soul? Like, forget it. Like, we have some friends in our life who are actually like kind of big deals. And even them, they're kind of famous. They're like not famous. You know, it's like I'm just saying, like, we have to understand that if we could understand how quickly people forget about us after we die,
yes,
we would not.
My great grandkids won't know my name. Probably.
Exactly. No, I mean, for sure. It's like my sons. Well, I mean, I really, me and my siblings and my cousins are the last people who will ever remember my grandfather alive. It will. And then he's going to fade. And like, my kids will maybe, like, I can point to my son, Judah, who is literally like a month and a half old the moment he met my grandfather. And then he never saw my grandfather again. It's like that. I love my grandfather. I love his story. I love his life. But like, that is like, and he had an incredible life, like incredible impact on people's lives, lived a life of incredible virtue. But like that, like, let us think about that. Like, that is the moment someone dies, you unwind. Today, I drove through a cemetery and thought about that. I just like took a wrong turn, drove through a cemetery, and it was, get this, guys, this is a cemetery that was less than 5 minutes from my house growing up. I had never been in that place in my whole life. And driving through it, I could see like the road I had driven down thousands of times. I saw the restaurants, like the Buffalo Wild Wings, I had gone to hundreds of times. And I'm sitting in the cemetery. I'm like, wow, this is a different perspective. This is a different view. Yeah. Like this right sizes my life a little bit. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just like that. That is so important for us to have a dose of reality. That it's like the Francis Chan thing. Your life is so small.
Yeah, you better get to laying foundation too. The foundations in ancient Egypt, they're still there today. That skyscraper in downtown Columbus, it's not going to last the test of time. Mm-hmm. So you building the super high tower, like, it's only going to last a while, but the foundations you lay can last forever. Like, that's just true. It's true in the real world, and it's true in our lives for sure. No, what do you think?
Well, I was just thinking about I was just laughing. What we were talking about brought me back to John Mulaney's bit. His opening monologue. He's like, my name's John Mulaney. He's like, and just like Minister Farrakhan, I mean a whole lot to a little amount of people. Or so he said. What was it?
Yeah, no, that was it. Generally, it's like I mean a lot to a very small group of people.
Yeah, that is like the majority of people that are popular. It's like, I've even thought about that so much with like my role. I get the pleasure of speaking in front of a lot of people and of talking to a lot of people. And so many times I'll be at different places around Columbus because I grew up here, and people will be like, oh my gosh, no, you know everybody. Like, everyone knows you. You're so popular. I'm like, No, like I don't, and I just like will walk around sometimes at like certain events, or I'm like, I find it so weird when people kind of have this like air about them, like they're better than someone else. I'm like, you are a part of a Catholic conference. No one, you mean a whole lot to a very little amount of people. Like you're not, no one here is actually famous at all. And and that's the church world too. Like no one in the church world is actually famous. No one is. They might like get on TV a couple times, but like it just cracks me up because we can kind of take on this air, and it all comes from this place of us trying to fulfill something that, again, I think it all comes back to
significance, right? It's because we want to feel significant.
Because at some point we weren't, and at some point we didn't feel significant. And I think that, and we're getting something that we felt deprived, or it was deprived from us or taken from us at a certain point. And I think that just brings it back to the issue of pain. I think that like, and I heard I forget who said this, but it's this idea of like, Jesus does it. We don't have a body because Jesus does. Jesus has a body because we do. And it was a really interesting just perspective of like, he took on a body because we have bodies, and he wanted to meet us in our pain. Like one of our close priest friends, he always says, Jesus took on a body to be with me in my pain. Jesus took on a body to be with me in my pain. And it's like the best thing it helps me. If I can repeat that throughout my day, it just helps center me and helps me choose the right thing, which is oftentimes the harder thing. Like it makes me like, even today, like I got back to my house after kind of a long day of kind of work that was fun, but just tiring. And I drove almost an hour home, and I get home and immediately like, we have somebody staying at our house. And so I need to get our air conditioning set up in one of our rooms. And then I messed something up with that. And so somebody asked me to do something more with it. And it's like immediately my first thing was like, I just want to lay down and take a nap before I have to get on this podcast. Right. And I'm just like, okay, this isn't even pain. Like, I don't even want to call that pain, but it's inconvenience. And I could be like, you know what? I'm working so hard to help lead a national ministry. Like everybody shut up and let me like lay down, or let me like whatever, like, cause what I do is significant and I should be treated as such. But like, no, first of all, that's not really true. And second of all, like, no, Jesus took on a body to be with me in my pain. And in this moment, I can choose disrespect, anger, frustration, laziness, sloth, any of the seven deadly sins at that point, to kind of to escape what my experience is right now. Or I can remember Jesus took on a body to be with me in my pain, and I can step into not even pain, but just a minor inconvenience in the right disposition of heart, and actually grow from that. And that keeps me low, and it keeps me, more importantly than anything else, in reality, which is so important.
Yeah, it's so important. Well, discomfort's a gift. It keeps you in reality itself. Like, think about this. It's on my most uncomfortable days that I'm most sure I'm alive. It's just true. It doesn't matter if I do something really hard, like a workout, or I climb a mountain, or whatever. You can go to those extremes where you conquer something, but even the uncomfortable days where I'm not getting success out of it. Like, one thing I can be sure of, if I would stop myself instead of complaining or elevating myself to feel so good about myself, is like, I'm alive. That's for sure. Because we're not made to just kind of like default through life in a state of bliss. We're meant to confront life. Like we're meant to confront the reality of our lives with all of its complication, you know? And I think that the reason I wanted to start in this area is because if we don't get it right, that we were made for impact, and that in order to make impact, we have to get low and build a foundation, what we're going to find ourselves in is a place where we are simply commenting on what other people are doing instead of recognizing this stuff's in me. Like, I was made for impact. If I'm not doing that yet, I better get to it. And if I am doing that, I better start shoring up the foundations, you know? Because back to the original point, like, remember the fallen giants, like, man, how many times, and I don't know, we don't have to speak necessarily like specific moments, but like, there have been times that I've been just devastated by men that I looked up to, or was really close with, and they fell. Like, I remember distinctly early in marriage once, there was this scandal that kind of hit with a guy that I was really close to. And Nina at the time was working 3 12-hour shifts, but also doing clinicals because my wife's a superstar. And one night she was coming home late. It was a 12-hour shift. I think at that time it was 7 to 7. Then she had to pass it off and then drive home. It was maybe like 8:30. And I got home after hearing this news probably around like 7. And I just sat in my prayer chair and I was just like weeping, man, for like an hour. I couldn't get out of it. And Nina had never seen me like that, like marriage, the vulnerability of it. Like she walks in and she's just like, whoa, like had no idea how to approach it. And I remember she asked me, hey, I know this might seem obvious, but like, what are you feeling? And I remember just being like, I'm just so bummed. Like, and man, that like vulnerable place, I'm just bummed. I'm bummed that someone that I really wanted to be one way chose to be a different way. I'm really bummed about that. And what I'm most bummed about is I know I could do that same thing. Like what I'm bummed about is like there are now people, and again, to both of your points, like it's not a ton of people. Like we matter a lot to a small group of people, but those small group of individuals do look to us. And there is a weight. When you start taking on the responsibility of your life, you're called to carry it forthrightly, as Jordan Peterson would say.
Frick yeah. I mean, and you think about that, it's like, it's not a light thing to be, it's not a light thing to be taken and loved and adored and cared by a small group of people. I mean, think about your family, for God's sake. I mean, where does the most damage happen in the midst of a scandal? It's the people who are the closest to the scandal, right?
Devastating.
When it's the people closest to the center, the closest to the core, and the bomb goes off, it's where the most shrapnel happens. Right? I mean, think about how many lives have been ruined by fathers who are practice infidelity, or children's lives completely altered because of the way that they saw their parents end in divorce. Like whatever these things are, it's like it comes down in a lot of ways to you confronting the selfishness in your own heart and saying, I've got to be better. And it's not about like this. It's not about this, like this lie too. Cause I think we have to address this of like, in many ways, you are not going to be able to just like talk yourself out of it. Like whatever this thing is for you, like, because everyone's got it. Everyone's got a shadow side. Everyone's got something they turn to or could turn to or have historically turned to that is like the shadow that no one wants them, like no one wants to see them in, right? Whether it's something in the dark or whether it's something you just don't like that side of you, it's got to be confronted. And oftentimes it can't be done just in yourself. Like, I think we have to really encourage men here. Like it is no, like, there's no shame to approach counseling, or there's no shame to approach help. Like I have personally been impacted by the importance of counseling in my own life and in my marriage. I'm
and spiritual directors and accountability partners and like all the things that are at our
no, you're right
fingertips.
on all those stuff. Yeah. I mean, and I think there's a special place for people who are clinically trained to be able to help people who have, because a lot of this stuff is mental health, right? It's like, it's not just the spiritual side of things. It's like, there's a lot of trauma that's happening in people's lives. You've got to address that. You've got to be able to work through that. So anyway, I mean, I think that being able to really confront that part of selfishness is so important.
Yeah. Also, sorry, not to dismiss counseling either. I think I was just building on like you need help in your life.
Yeah.
Like no man's an island. You gotta have people in your corner.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think again, it's just so important. That is why that's why I even came off so strong in the beginning of saying, like, my fear is that, and I've seen it multiple times, especially within the church, of like, when we just let it be, man, the devil really got after them, then that person sometimes never gets an opportunity to actually grow and to actually
face it,
terms with a lot of the things that they need to come to terms with. And I think then we, like, I'm kind of weird. I have like a weird obsession with, I love like media. I love watching movies, TV shows, and I love especially historical TV shows, but I'm always kind of looking up like the actors' lives or the musicians' lives, or just, I love learning about people and where they came from. And Sam might be able to relate with this a little bit. I sometimes have a propensity of like, when I see something in their life, maybe that's negative, I'm like, wait, am I doing that too? Like, am I going to be screwed? Like, I kind of like panic a little bit. But I love like I have a habit of when I'm watching anything, I go to a Wikipedia page about that person. In the section that I always go, there's 2 sections, and if the person's dead, 3 sections that I always go to: early life, controversy / scandal, and then death. I'm obsessed with it. Like I never read about their professional career. I just want to know where this person came from, what made them the way they were, where they fell, and how they went out of this life. Every single time. I'm obsessed with it because I am just, and that's how I've always been. Like, I've seen every one of the podcasts that have come out that Carl Lentz has made, because I'm obsessed with what happened with him and how he fell. I've kept up with the Sharon Moore stuff. These people that have fallen. I'm so like, I just want to know what brought them and got them to that point. And I think it's out of this heart, not of like a gossipy, like, oh, how could they have ever done this? It's more just like, it is remembering the fallen giants. It's like,
That's
what
right.
did they do that I walk in, that I feel at a microcosmic level? And then as my areas of responsibility grow, what do I need to look at?
Multiply that over time, and that's a
Yes,
problem.
exactly.
Yep.
And so that's why I'm so like intense about this idea of like, no. Yeah, maybe the devil is coming after you a little bit. I don't know. But you also, like, you can be so much of the gospel, and people disagree with me on this, is, and it's a very Franciscan approach, but it's like your whole self can be transformed. Like, the beauty of the gospel is that Jesus didn't enter into a part of your life at a certain period of your life. He entered into, in the time he entered into your life, he wanted to enter into all of your life. He wants to consume all of you. And so anything that is sinful or disordered, he wants to transform. And that is the beauty of relationship with Christ. And that is my deepest spiritual passion, is that every bit of me would be conformed to him, not necessarily just in a way of like, let me crucify the flesh, but also like, Lord, come and like, let me understand where these things are coming from and invite you into those things so that I know there's another way out than the way that I typically take in my coping. And I think that's like a huge passion for me. It's because I want the body of Christ to understand, especially men, to understand, 1, their responsibility, and then 2, what comes out of them when that responsibility kind of chokes them a little bit. And then how to deal with those things so that they can experience even more transformation in Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm so passionate about that.
And it's something where it's like, I don't know, to me at least, there are like minor scandals, right? There are minor sins. Like, I even like, hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not. There are even like mortal sins in people's lives, the patterns of behavior that it's like, okay, cut the head off that snake now. Like, don't wait until, to your point, Brad, it's like the compound interest of like this pattern of sin could grow to the point where you blink and you're cheating on your wife, or you blink and you're gambling in this way. You blink and you're drinking yourself into a disease. Like, there's something where these things don't happen overnight, but there's a chance that right now you could try to enter into that moment, regardless of what you're feeling, like whether you're feeling fear or shame or guilt or, oh, it's just impossible. Like, you can enter into that moment now, before it turns into that moment. We spoke earlier of like the moment before the moment. Perhaps right now, whoever's listening to this, perhaps this is your moment before the moment. Like, if you just enter into this moment, like take control of your life. Like, I think about, there's this beautiful story that I heard of this man that I was sitting with that literally was talking about like his addiction to lust. And he just like one day just like was like, I'm over it. Like, I'm gonna actually tell my spouse about this. Because it's better that I confront this evil with them than for it to just explode into like every chaos, into my life. And I think it's just like to think about that, of like being able to enter into that moment, because if we can address it there, that's where it doesn't create that compound interest, and you're really being able to stop something before it really transforms your entire life.
Yeah. Well, and you have to examine your life to do that. Like, what I'm hearing when you guys are saying that is you have to know where you're at to know where you're going. Like, I have to be really honest about where I'm at. I have to examine my life. One of my favorite things to do every day at the end of my day, and I do it better some days than others, but like, what has my day looked like? And being really honest. Where was I hiding? Where was I falling into just default patterns? Where was God's grace available to me and I did not say yes to it because I'm selfish and hard-headed? And where was it available to me and I cooperated with it? And giving him gratitude and thanks for when he has given me the opportunity to collaborate with him, to cooperate with his grace, and to ask him to give me the grace tomorrow not to fall or fail in the ways that I have today. Like, we can't be afraid to face that. That's why we need to remember the fallen giants, because you have to realize that all of us have a fallen giant within us. That as we get big, if those foundations aren't shored up, we can fall just as easy as any of the headlines that we read. And I think that when we examine our life, here's one of the like earth-shattering moments I had with the Lord early in my conversion is he gave me this kind of like calling card for my life. And it's a simple examination. It's just, if there was a camera on my life today, at every moment of my day, and that camera followed me all day long, at the end of my day, if I was to put that recorder down, take the tape out, and the next day go to someone who's never heard of me before and never heard of the gospel before, like doesn't know, just I handed it to them. When they watched it, what would they think I was living for? And what sort of life would they see on the film? Would they see a life worth emulating? Would they see a life that looked alive, that looked like someone that was followable, like someone who wanted to make an impact? Maybe even if you go to the extreme, like someone who believes in a God who transcends circumstance, like that would be good. And I remember when the Lord showed me that, not getting into shame, but beginning to feel conviction in my heart. Like, I want to be the sort of man that you could film me all the time and you know exactly what you're going to get. Watch the tape every game, every day, and you know what you're going to get, because that's the antidote to being a fallen giant, is examining your life, recognizing the weaknesses, laying down before the Lord, allowing yourself to become the foundation that things are built on. Like, that's what we're called to. And if we don't remember how giants fall, what do we think, that they're not made like us? Like, it's like what I hear when people are talking about different failing systems in the past, like communism or whatever, right? It's like, but if I let it, right? But if I incorporated it, if I was the leader, I wouldn't have done that. Oh, okay. You don't know yourself at all if you think that's true. Yeah, if I had all that power and stuff and haven't shored up my foundation, yeah, so let's shore it up, examine our lives. I don't know. I just said a bunch of stuff, but
no, and that's why I feel bad for whoever's going to win that $5 million. I'm going to be honest. Like, whoever's going to win the $5 million from that Beast Games, I'm like, is it? I really think that, don't most people that win the lottery end up like broke 5 years later?
Isn't that
like,
crazy? Yeah.
Well, it's like you place this massive amount of something that really should only be attained by hard work, effort, and character, and then you place it upon it overnight. It's like every character flaw is going to come out. And to your point, Brad, it's like when you think about impact, and I know we're probably going to land here in just a moment, but like, you think about impact, you think about, especially for some of these guys that are listening, that it's like, I'm not going to do anything special with my life. Like, I am not in a way of like debunking yourself here, but it's like, yeah, most people are not going to have like a massive following or like this incredible job or whatever. It's like, you're going to have a job that you go to. You're going to have a family that you provide for. You're going to have children. God willing, you're going to have grandkids. You're going to have a life. Like, that's about it. And it's like, okay, are you living yourself? Are you living your truest self, who you were designed to be, who you're made to be? So that way, that section of your life, I was thinking, even though when you were sharing earlier of like the Wikipedia page, it's like, what would it be like if that section of your life of scandals never had to be there? Like, what if someone went to your Wikipedia page and they just saw early life and death, and it was, or contributions instead of controversy, right? It's like, what about focusing more on like the contribution I give through my life and the controversies, the scandals through my life? Like, what a gift that would be. Be like Daniel in the Old Testament, where it says that they could find no corruption from within him.
Yeah,
like, he was such a man of
amen.
Purity, like a man of integrity, a man of character, a man of virtue, that even the satraps and the people that served the king couldn't tempt him, because he was so sure within himself that they
search high and low,
him.
you can't find it. Yeah, amen.
So, I mean, to be able to be that type of man, no matter if you're the president of the United States or whether you're just a janitor, like that your life has meaning because your life was made by God. Like, that's the impact of your life, is you're going to reach people. Your life is going to ripple, and it doesn't have to ripple across a stage or across a algorithm, but just to the people that are in your life.
I love that. Yeah, and Sam, you said something funny that just kind of stuck out to me, and it was just, I don't know. So, Sam, you said you're watching Survivor this season. Brad, I'm assuming, are you watching it or no?
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
I want to be. I need to get. You guys need to just text me when you guys get into a series or something, so I can stay up whenever you ask me this on the podcast.
You gotta watch The Sandlot first, and then we'll get to Survivor.
Yeah, you're right.
We
You're
gotta
right.
watch
Yeah,
The Last
that.
Dance. We got a lot of work to do, but
It's free on Netflix.
I've started
right
it.
now.
Yeah,
that's true. You have started it.
No, go for it.
But anyways, the point you made, Sam, was just like you feel bad for the person who wins that $5 million. And I've just noticed this season on Survivor, there has been like when people, for the most part, when people are their torches snuffed when they're getting out, there is almost like a gratitude for the game. I've noticed that this season more than others because everyone who's on this season has played before.
Right.
And there's been like they keep just talking like Jeff is the kind of the host of the show, and they're just like, Jeff, thank you. Like I got to play this game, and like I love the game, and I'm like that's just I love that. I'm like this season's been, first of all, freaking awesome, but then like secondarily, I don't feel like anyone is actually playing for the money. I think they're playing for the love of the game, and I think like translating that into our lives, it's like, if I can, like, for lack of better words, live this life for the love of the game, right? Like, just give it all because it's so good and wholesome to do so. Then whatever comes, whatever ebbs and flows, I am like still in the same. I'm ebbing and flowing, but I'm delighting in what God's put before me. And I think Russell Brand, I've been listening to some of his podcasts, just his different interviews that he's had, and he just said he said this, and I think he's still like trying to figure it out. And I know if I were in his position, I don't know where I would be, but he just said like, look, I'm either because somebody asked him, have you come to terms with being potentially in prison for what you've done? And he's like, I'm with Jesus in prison, and I'm with Jesus with my family. And of course, I'd rather be with Jesus with Jesus with my family. But I'm with Jesus in prison, and I'm with Jesus with my family. And I thought that was just like, if we can truly live in reality in that way and be like, I am with Jesus when I have to wake up and I don't want to in the morning, when I have to get in the cold plunge and I don't want to, when I have to lift and I really don't want to, when I have to work and I don't want to, when I get to come home and eat an amazing dinner and I really want to, when I get to go play basketball and I really want to, when I get to lay down and eat ice cream. And like it's just this life of like sober love of the game that we enter into it. And yes, if great things happen, awesome. And if rough things happen, okay. But I'm here just kind of for the love of the game.
Can I share a little quote that I came across today? It's kind of cheesy, but it's like, and then Brad, you can take us home. This is from Love of the Game, Shaq. It's from Shaquille O'Neal. Maybe you guys saw this too, but did you see this?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
No, he said, your character will take you further than your resume. Continue to be kind and humble and to help those in need. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, you think about what we're talking about right now, of being your character. It's like your character is going to take you back further than any accomplishment you have. I mean, I think so many people will rest on their laurels of how much money they make, whatever things they do, whatever their LinkedIn profile says. It's like, yeah, your character. If you don't have character, if you don't have virtue, everything's going to fall flat on its face, and that's how you become a giant that falls. But be like Shaq. And that way,
that's right. He is a giant. Well, remember the fallen giants, because we were made to be giants. Like, even if for one or two people, you were made to be a giant of character, a giant of virtue, a giant that makes an impact with your life. And as a giant, you were made to lay down and build a foundation for people to build on, not to build a tower upon yourself with cracks in the foundation so that you can fall. Like, we're called for legacy. Like, we're called for impact. And yeah, that's why we should remember the fallen giants. We should also remember that within us is the capacity to fall, and we should examine our lives and be humble and recognize that the Lord is merciful, but that he works in reality, not in fantasy. Let's bring things to the light and bring our whole selves to him. And that's how we move forward in life, Sam, 4 little ones, man. Congratulations. That's a party. That's a party. Yeah. And Noah, you're due soon. So let's just do this thing.
Very soon. Soon.
That's awesome. Well, gents, I enjoyed this a lot. If this is your first time, this is Modern Man. Subscribe. Check us out. We're here weekly, and we'll see you next time.